This is Samaria. Samaria is 8 years old. And when I first came to Mississippi from Colorado in 2012, one of the first things I did was go into Samaria's second grade classroom with a big plate of kale chips. We brought the farmer who grew the kale. We had a chef from a local restaurant come out and cook the kale for the kids in the cafeteria. And Samaria's teacher, Mrs. Van Sickle, pointed this girl out and said, you know what, if you're gonna convince anyone, it's this kid. Anything on her tray that even resembles a fruit or a vegetable in the cafeteria goes straight into the trash can, and she is just not a fan of fruits and vegetables. So I kept my eyes on Samaria, and I watched as she tentatively picked up her first kale chip and kind of looked at it, put it in her mouth, and then quickly finished her entire bowl. She then ate everyone else's bowl at her table, was asking for thirds and fourths and fifths until I was like, we need to cut this kid off of the kale chips. This sudden intake of dark green could not be very good for her. We're in a pretty bad place when it comes to the health of our communities and the health of our children, so much so that the CDC now says that our children might die at a younger age than their parents. In order to change these really scary statistics, we need a paradigm shift in the way that we think about food and the way that we eat food. We need to engage communities, we need to empower communities that we're working with, and we need to excite communities and kids like Samaria, which is exactly what Good Food for Oxford Schools is doing in Mississippi. You can especially see these problems in Mississippi. We have the highest obesity rates in the country. Last year, 40% of Mississippi children reported eating less than one fruit or vegetable a day, which directly corresponds with our rate of obesity, 40% of kids. On top of all of that, 74% of parents in our state are not concerned with their children's weight, which I see as a huge problem. Good Food for Oxford Schools works in 3 different areas: the cafeteria, the classroom, and in the community. In the cafeterias, which is the first stop, we are transforming what the kids are seeing on their trays. What you see on this tray up here is baked chicken on the bone. Those are collard greens that came from this farm, Woodson Ridge, which is just a mile down the street from the school, Mississippi mashed sweet potatoes, and a fresh piece of fruit. We're also working with all of our staff to do more scratch cooking in the cafeterias, and it's going pretty well. Not everyone's on board. In fact, just a couple weeks ago, I was told after removing the chicken nuggets from the menu that I was taking all of the fun out of school lunch, which is a pretty harsh thing to be told, considering I feel like I'm a pretty fun person. So what I talked with our food service person that was telling me this was, you know, we make decisions based on the welfare of our children and not necessarily what's going to be the most fun for them. If your kids wanted to play on Highway 7 instead of the backyard, you would definitely tell them, no, they cannot. Part of making school lunch fun is by doing a monthly harvest of the month where we feature something local on the menus, and then the kids get a sticker if they give it a try. And about 4th grade and under, stickers are like magic. They work so well. Our menus last year, this time, were 30% cooked from scratch, and our goal for this time this year was 65% cooked from scratch. And I'm very proud to tell you that we are currently at 75%. And just to sort of tell you about how hard it's been, we still have 1 fryer left in the school district, but we will be totally fryer-free in the school district by August. We've got salad bars coming to all of our schools, and we're really excited about the potential. The next area that we work in is the classroom, because you can't just put this food in front of kids and expect that they're going to love it and eat it and enjoy it. So we really engage students. We get them to touch and feel foods. We bring in the farmer. We bring in chefs. They do cooking demos in the classroom where they learn about how to put flavors together. We really allow students to experience the joy of food. And that includes school gardens. This is this year's Samaria. I took this picture and her teacher said, yeah, right, you know, that's funny you took her picture because this kid's not going to touch anything you give her. little do you know, a couple months later when the eggplant was growing, this was the first one to be like, when can we eat that? When can we eat that? When can we eat that? And I was like, eggplant, really? Okay, cool. So the gardens are going great, and we even have our students in the Scott Center, which is a special needs center, growing all the starts for all of our school gardens in greenhouses. In the middle and high school, stickers and dressing up like a carrot doesn't work so well. So what we've done is empowered the students themselves. We've started food clubs in our middle and high schools to see what the students want. And I really thought going into this first meeting with the high school food club that the kids would be like, Taco Bell, Subway, come on, get it on the trays. Instead, they were like, we want a salad bar. And I was like, that is something I can do. After working for Chef Ann, I know salad bars forwards and backwards. So this was super exciting. Just in January, we got our first salad bar in the district at the high school, and we have about 50 more kids, which is big for our district, eating lunch every day because the salad bar is there. It was their idea. These are some of our food club girls on the right. We also have to get this message home to the parents. It can't just stay with the kids. We have to somehow bring it home. And some of the different ways that we've done that are this example, which is from Food Day this year. We sent all the kids home with a passport, and they had to go try. They had to explain the taste. They had to describe a new fruit or vegetable that they enjoyed. Then they had to go to one of our places where you can buy fresh fruits and vegetables, which happened to be Kroger, a local grocery store, Larson's, and our Walmart. And they had to engage with the people in the produce department. And they got a stamp on each part of this passport. And when they turned it in, they got a silly straw, and that was huge. It was a big deal. A lot of them did it. They also had to go meet a farmer at one of the farmers markets in town so that these kids and their families could really start to identify where these foods were available to them. The last piece is engaging the community, which is integral to the success of this program. When I first came to the school district, the superintendent told me that they had a really difficult time getting African American families to come to school district events. And that really struck a chord with me because I wanted good food for Oxford schools to not be my project. I wanted it to be everyone's project. So my first thought in my head was, how do I engage the African American community? So my good pal, Astrid Goolsby, who's on the left, who is a personal trainer in Oxford and had been doing health work with the schools, and I planned the Gospel Choir Showcase. It was the first African American event on the town square in Oxford, Mississippi ever to take place. We had gospel choirs sing. This was amazing. It was so fun. I'm so glad I moved to Mississippi. And in between, we had messaging about what Good Food for Oxford Schools was doing with the community. We served samples of our new school menu, and we sold these apples for 25 cents. I had like 200 of them. We were gone in the first half hour. We had our students from the program at the elementary school get up on stage and tell everybody what they were learning. There's Samaria on the right in that picture. The next piece is this really important connection that we have with the Oxford Community Farmers Market. We really need to be encouraging our families in Mississippi to make these local purchases more than they've done before. The Food Policy Council of Mississippi recently completed a study that said that 90% of our food in Mississippi is coming from outside of the state, even though Mississippi's #1 export is agriculture. It makes no sense. The study also said that if each citizen were to spend $5 of their food budget on local foods instead of what they're getting in other ways, every week, that we would bring $774 million back to farmers in Mississippi. A huge part that is really important and really integral to the work that I'm doing in Mississippi is the evaluation process. We're working on an evaluation with a third party. It's actually the group that does the census in Mississippi, to really look at what our kids are eating and what message is making it home. We're doing plate waste studies. We're doing focus groups with the little ones. We're doing parent surveys, and we're starting to collect some of this great data back. And this all started because Samaria's mom did an interview for Invitation Oxford, which is our magazine in town. And she told the journalist that because of the program that we were doing, Samaria now begs for fruits and vegetables at the grocery store. She is pestering her mom for fruits and vegetables at the grocery store. So I feel like we're using the marketing technique pester power, which is exactly what Anna LePay talked about last year with the cereal companies and the really overly processed foods. It's working. The message is getting home. People are talking about what we're doing. Farmers markets are popping up in our community, and I've only been there for a year and a half doing this type of work. The people of Mississippi have embraced this project. They're taking it on. We're starting to create a farm-to-school network in the state and really helping these projects that were started before I got there raise up and do more, helping new projects to start. And it's a really exciting process to be a part of, especially because in Mississippi, 80% of our students receive a free or reduced cost meal from school. It's a really high free and reduced percentage, but it's not that far ahead of the national rate, which is 70.5%. Good food can change everything. Good food can change the health of your body. Good food can change the health of the environment that you live in. And good food can bring a renewed sense of pleasure to your life. Currently, with the obesity stats that we're facing, we're seeing kids missing school because they're sick far too often. We're seeing a lower academic performance, and we're even seeing depression among our littlest of kids. So now is the time to work towards this paradigm shift that I'm talking about, and school food can be that catalyst for change. You see a ton of bad news about Mississippi, I know that. I'm pretty sure it's why I won this challenge. But I want you now to look at how pumped these kids are about a watermelon radish. Eyes on Mississippi, because we're making change, and I believe that we can really be the next big thing to happen. So keep watching, come on down, come try our food, and thank you so much.